I'm a goal-oriented person. A task-oriented person, and it's just I see now the extent to which I had lost some of the playfulness.
Mm,
Just the reminder in the course that it's okay to be playful and that you should
mhm.
be. And
Yeah.
the neat thing is we have our 16-year-old daughter who still is at home. I mean, Playful is her middle name. She said something about how unhinged mom and dad have become.
Welcome to the Delight Your Marriage podcast. You're joining me, Bella Rose, as I dive deep into the beauty, power, and truths about intimacy. Learn not only the practicals, but the heart behind what making love is all about. Delight your marriage.
Joel, I am extremely excited to be here with you today, to hear you put a voice to your story, to hear what God has done for you through Masculinity Reclaimed and in your marriage and maybe even beyond. Who knows? So I am excited to have this conversation. Thank you so much for your courage to be here and to share with us. I would love, Joel, if you don't mind, just kind of getting us started with a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been married for almost 28 years, and I'm a pilot is my vocation. I have my wife and I have four children. Three of them are girls, one of them is a boy. Most of them are out of the house now. I have a 16-year-old girl left at home. So, and yeah, we live in the middle of the country.
Wow.
Mhm.
So I'm curious if you would share with us what were the challenges that you were facing before you joined the program?
The biggest challenge for me was after, 27 years of marriage, it'll be almost 28. Um, we, I just felt somewhat disconnected from my wife.
Mm,
We've had many years together and raised four kids, and it's a wonderful experience. I wouldn't say I would say I had a good marriage, really,
yeah.
but that doesn't mean there weren't some pain points. But the hardest thing for me was, I think there were certain patterns that we had gotten into that, specifically that I had gotten into that were not encouraging connection.
Mm,
And that was hard. I could feel that.
mm.
And there
Wow.
were certain areas of our marriage where I could, could sense that. And that was really what was bothering me.
Wow. Wow. Do you mind sharing what some of those patterns were, Joel, that you found yourself falling into?
I think I didn't recognize what they were until after I went through the MR course.
Ah, okay. Very
Although
good.
I would say that, just prior to taking the MR course, I would listen to some of the podcasts, and there were a couple of them, and I had only listened to probably, I don't know, a dozen of them prior to enrolling in the course, but one of them really hit home with me was listening. And I
Mm,
kind of knew in the back of my mind that over the years, maybe I hadn't been a good listener, but
wow.
it really hit home when I listened to some of those podcasts. And so going into it didn't surprise me as I went into MR that there was a pretty big emphasis on good listening skills.
Yes.
And that was one of the things that really was a key to helping us get a lot more connected more recently. So,
Wow. Wow. So learning to hone in on
mhm.
those
Yep.
listening skills.
Yep.
Wow. And how about sharing with us how you found Delight Your Marriage originally?
My sister had been listening to Bella's podcast, and I have a great relationship with all my siblings, and we were talking about marriage topics, and she told me about the podcast, and so I started listening to it and immediately recognized some really good things about it,
Wow.
and so my sister and I both, in parallel, wound up doing the clarity calls and independently, and then we found out we were both doing it. And
Yes.
so to me, how I think God orchestrated that, because we both kind of went through it in parallel and were able to talk about, some things that we were learning and pray for each other and things. So it kind of encouraged both
Yes.
of us to do it.
That is so special. Joel. And I remember that back from the Clarity Call days. Yes, obviously individual opportunities, but I remember being very touched that your sister would share this with you, and then also just how special it is that that you listened and you heard things that that really resonated with you, but you also trusted in her, in her prompting, and then. I just love that the two of you went through these programs at similar times to be that support for each other. That is really, really special.
Yeah, it was special.
Yeah, very, very special. So good. So I'm curious, Joel, how was your clarity call process? How'd that go for you?
It was very good. It was emotional, as
Mm,
I'm sure they often are,
yes.
because the questions that you asked, Dana, really probed into the sore points, I guess you could say, the
Mm,
challenges,
mhm.
and just help. It helped. It's an aptly named thing, a clarity call, because
Yes.
it does helped me as the client to it gave me some clarity, helped me to vocalize some things that I had been thinking. So
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. So was it the questions that were asked in the clarity call that kind of helped you give you a different insight as to what was going on?
yeah, I think so. And just the fact that you were listening, and I think the
Mm,
empathy that you show
yeah.
helped to draw me out. And it wasn't that necessarily anything I said was a huge revelation, but it was
Hmm.
just the
Hmm.
process of going through it and identifying
Yeah.
things. This was clarifying. So
It's good. It's good. And I remember it being a very good clarity call process with you, Joel. I remember your courage coming in, and your willingness to be honest, but also to be humble in in what you were seeking. So I really appreciated that. And then obviously you were given an invitation to join Masculinity Reclaimed. How else would you say Masculinity Reclaimed helped you overcome the challenges that you'd been facing?
there's so many elements to it. Obviously
Mm,
I can't go into all of them, but just the particular combination of things that Bella teaches and skills that you learn or that you hone. Maybe there's skills you
mm,
have in some capacity, but you really need to sharpen them up. And I think, there's so many things. It's hard to boil it down, but I would say two of my big, big light bulb moments were number one, praying for my wife.
mm.
I realized that I've done that over the years, but haphazardly. And the
Wow.
habit of daily doing that is so important. And connected with that, also thanking God for my wife's qualities, kind of connecting the gratitude with the prayer and praying for my wife, being purposeful about that.
Mm,
Uh, being, as Bella says, drawing her closer to Jesus. That's a major purpose and should be a major
wow.
purpose of life.
Yes.
But how can I do that if I'm not even praying for her regularly?
Wow.
And
Yes.
so that was, I was kicking myself after the course started, like, duh, why wasn't I doing that daily? And
Mm,
it's just such an important habit. And then the other one, like I said, was the listening skill. But Bella breaks it down into its components, and one of the big elements for me was stopping what I'm doing and looking at her. I, again, another big
mm,
light bulb moment. Duh, why wasn't I doing that? But it's not the same even if I'm emptying the dishwasher or doing something she wants me to do. If she's telling me something, it's not hard to stop and
mm.
look, but it makes such a difference for
Wow. Wow. That's a big deal, Joel. Those are
her.
big. They really are. What are some of the shifts or the improvements that you've experienced as a result of those two major light bulb moments, right? The praying for your wife and instilling a habit of gratitude every
Mhm.
morning, and then recognizing that it's not hard to stop and listen.
Yeah.
What are some of the improvements that have come about because, with those two light bulb moments?
Those are the two major ones. There have
Hmm.
been some other elements, but the biggest changes, and I noticed it really pretty rapidly after getting into the course, was amazing. Um, I've we I just the sense of connection just came back, and really in many ways better than ever, because I think the biggest thing for me was I felt empowered to help her feel loved.
Wow.
And I sensed it, I could tell it was happening on multiple levels in our marriage. Just her
Mhm.
general sense of how contented she seemed. She seemed happier. Um, Definitely, I registered a change in our level of intimacy. There's no question about that,
Mhm.
because
Mhm.
sometimes that can be a barometer for other aspects of the marriage.
Yes.
But to me, the biggest win, even though that's important to me as a man, that was not the biggest win. The biggest win was knowing that in all of that, she seemed happier. And that was so empowering to realize that from
Mhm.
my side of the relationship alone, I can make such a difference for her, and it just benefits the whole relationship. That was huge for me.
Wow. That you could do things on your own that would
Yes.
benefit the
Hmm.
relationship.
And I could tell it was getting through. you know, I could tell
Yes.
it was like ice melting in multiple areas. So
Wow. Wow. So no tension around that. No pressure around that, Joel?
the pressure initially was that I had signed up for the class and hadn't told her that I was committing resources. And I did feel like I needed to let her know about that. In my own
Yeah.
case, we all of our financial decisions are made
Yes.
together. I felt like
Yes.
I couldn't not tell her about it, so I
Yes.
did. But
Yeah.
after I had signed up, that was hard. That was a
Hmm.
difficult thing for her, and it was difficult for me. But I chose to do it because I really believed that, after praying about it, that really God was encouraging me in that direction. I really felt,
Mm. Wow.
and that it was a good thing to do and a wise thing to do. And we did get past that, but that was probably the pressure I felt in the beginning.
A little rocky in the beginning.
Yeah,
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 just from
yeah.
from that. And understandable. But I really want to, commend you, Joel, into leaning into the Lord in that, and recognizing that, just as you said, you could do these things. You could step forward and implement these tools and these resources that Bella was giving you,
Right.
and make the shifts that you've so beautifully described here, her seeming to feel more content in your
Mhm.
marriage, for her to see her happier,
Mhm.
and within the listening skills to stop and look. It's hugely important. So again, I hear you in that little bit of tension that existed in the beginning, but what a beautiful path you then laid by staying, true and committed to this work and your own personal growth,
Mhm. Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yep.
Really,
Yeah.
really incredible. Really incredible. So I'm curious, Joel, what was it like for you being on the calls live with Bella, actually working with her?
It was very good. It was neat to actually get to interact with her. Having heard some of the podcasts, it's a neat experience to actually see her interacting with other guys in the class and
Mhm.
interacting with me through the accountability forums and the questions and so on. A little intimidating sometimes, perhaps, because she
Yep.
can really lay it on the line.
Yes. Yes. Like a
but
true and good coach that
yeah,
that she is. Yes, I've been there,
yep,
Joel. Hmm.
exactly. So you kind of, wow, you kind of have to sometimes gather your courage a little bit, but it was really good. It was really, really good.
Yeah, that's awesome. Gather your courage a little bit. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. I hear that for sure. How about being in the program itself?
It's excellent. Just
Mm,
being able to interact with some other men, they're all coming and
yes.
going kind of at different times, but you do develop a bond with the ones that maybe are a little bit closer to you in terms of timing, in
Wow.
and out.
Hmm.
And in fact, in our case, it was really fun because Bella dubbed about 5 or 6 of us the Brotherhood of Thunder.
Oh, the
And
Brotherhood of
that has
Thunder.
stuck, and we've actually maintained a relationship out afterwards. It's not to replace MR, the master's level,
Yes.
but the five, because when you go to the master's level, you kind of tend to disperse into different groups. But we've kept
Mm,
our MR group intact, and we still get together once a month and talk and pray for each other. So
wow.
the camaraderie that develops through this is very important. And the men praying for each other, the accountability calls that we have with each other each week, separate from the coaching call, is a huge part of it.
Wow. Yeah, that is the true essence of community.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is the secret sauce there, Joel, in this the Masculinity Reclaimed graduate program being that strong sense of community, and I love that you created bonds but and then kept them, right? So kept
Hmm.
them
Yeah.
beyond
Yeah.
and even outside of, it sounds like, Masculinity Reclaimed graduate program. That's really special. Is there
Yeah.
is there something that kind of stands out to you that makes that community different from maybe others that you have been a part of?
Well, the first thing is the anonymity, because it's hard to really be open with your friends in your church, for example, about
Mm,
your marriage, for example, if your wives all know each other, and you're just afraid something's going to get leaked. um, if you're sharing something personal, and there's really no fear of that when these guys we're many miles apart from one another. Our wives don't know each other, and we can be perhaps a little more open without fear of that.
wow.
That's one thing. Another thing is just the way that the accountability calls are set up, where you pray for each other. You're not judging each other. There is a certain amount of we do share ideas and counsel. I mean, that's an important part of it too, but it's all given in humility and a non-judgmental spirit. But the praying for each other, I think, is really one of the most important things, because
Mm,
we understand what's going on in each person's life each week, or however often the calls occur, and or however often you can join the call. Sometimes you can't be on all of them for whatever reason, but in between time, you can pray for one another specifically about what each person is facing or struggling with, or some area that they're seeking to grow. And I think that's a really key part of it.
wow. So incredible and important to have that support.
Yeah.
Really special. Yeah,
Hmm.
incredible. Joel, what would you say was the most impactful moment for you during your time in Masculinity Reclaimed?
Oh, it's hard to identify one.
Mm. That's
I've
a
already
really good
mentioned,
answer, Joel.
yeah.
I'm just kidding. That's great. That's
I've already
great. It's great.
I've already mentioned the listening and just the light bulb moments of praying for my wife. I
Hmm.
think another really I'll talk about the module that deals with gratitude.
Mm,
And also, that's a big one. Just she talks about the spirals,
yes.
and setting your expectations, ratcheting them down so that you don't discourage your wife with expectations that maybe just kind of ramp up over time. I don't know. It's weird how we
Mm,
so grateful for things in the beginning, and then maybe we just develop more expectations as we go on. I don't know, but
mm,
learning how to be grateful and just every day thanking God for the good things and seeing how many there are, and just how that affects your whole daily attitude. That was a big one. I would say another important one. I'm trying to think. There was one other one that occurred to me. It'll come back to me.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. When it does, just interject for sure. That's incredible. Really incredible. Joel, I'm curious, what is your spouse's take on you participating in this program now?
I think we don't talk a lot about the fact that I've done it,
Mm-hmm.
because I think I registered a significant change. And I said in the beginning, we had the challenge of her finding out, or I told her that I had spent the money to take this course, and
Yeah.
we got past that. But then once she realized I was committed to it, and that I guess she realized the reasons I was doing it, and that it wasn't going to put a lot of pressure on her, I think,
Yes.
um, then she started putting it on the calendar, And so, okay, so when are your calls?
Oh my goodness, Joel. Like literally writing down your
Yeah, I mean,
dates and
she
times.
wants, yeah,
That's
and
awesome.
she keeps a calendar. She wants to know what's going on each week. But
Yeah.
we had turned a corner at that point because she accepted the fact that I was doing it.
Wow.
And, so I think that just at that point, I knew that she had accepted that I was going forward with it,
Wow.
and seemed less, you know, seemed to have gotten perhaps
Yeah.
past the point of the initial. I think she felt
Sure.
really hurt. She felt really
Sure.
hurt at the beginning that I had
Yeah. Yeah.
committed that. But I think now I would say, I hope, I don't ask her, because I don't want to put that kind of pressure on things. Say,
Of
so how am I
course.
doing?
Of course,
But
yes. Give me a
I try
scale of
to,
1 to 10. Yeah.
yeah, I try to gauge it more by, her responses to me, and how we're interacting on a daily basis. That to me is how I really gauge it. But
Yes.
but
Yes.
yeah, I think I would have to say, I optimistically, I think she's glad I did it.
Yeah,
I
yes.
would hope so.
I would say with a with an increase in contentedness and an increased level of closeness in intimacy and just a happier in general, overall. I think those are good, you know, places
Yeah.
to be able to discern, what how she's feeling about it. But I do want to point out here, Joel, you said something very important, and that was when she recognized your seriousness, but also your consistency
Hmm.
in doing the work. Of course, she didn't know what the work was, right? She doesn't know the details, and that's
No.
okay, and that's by design because
Right.
it's a program for men. It is
Right.
a program where Bella specifically speaks to the men. So given the
Yeah.
fact that she doesn't know the details behind it, she did see your consistency.
Hmm.
And it is that consistency that really does help to relieve the pressure and provide a level of trust and safety in the changes that God is bringing about, right? The changes God is bringing into your relationship. So,
Right.
to that point, Joel, well done. Really and truly, well done. I love your focus on yourself. You've
Hmm.
said a couple times that this was an opportunity for you to do the work that God was calling you to do.
Hmm.
And it really, you took on that responsibility very seriously. And you've done such a beautiful job. Really fantastic. So I'm curious, I'd love to ask, is there playfulness? Like, is there a level of playfulness that is new in this season in your family, Joel?
Yes. You
Yes.
know,
Tell me more.
I think the over time, I'm a goal-oriented person. A task-oriented person, and it's easy over time I see now the extent to which I had lost some of the playfulness.
Mm,
And
wow.
what's neat about it is just the reminder in the course that it's okay to be playful, and that you should
Mhm.
be. And even if it flops, sometimes it's okay,
Yes.
and just get up and try
Yes.
again. And the neat thing is we have our 16-year-old daughter who still is at home Playful is her middle name. And she told one of my other daughters, unbeknownst to me, because my other daughter reported this to us, she said something about how unhinged mom and dad have become.
Oh my goodness. Unhinged. And
Yeah,
I
and
know that I have teenagers, that's a
yeah,
good thing,
it
right?
is. It
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Wow. Wow,
So,
Joel, that is so special. So special. And to be speaking into your daughter in the way that, is instinctively hers to begin with, that playfulness. How special. Oh my goodness. This
oh,
really is. Oh, go ahead, please.
I do remember now one of the other big moments, I guess you could say, in the course that I was going to mention earlier, was the unloading of the rocks.
Mm,
You know, offloading the little hurts, the buildup
mm,
of things that, even though I wasn't holding grudges,
yeah.
just the offloading of the pain, I guess you could say, of certain things,
Wow.
giving it to the Lord, uh,
Wow.
forgiving fully, and also just even also the fears. I guess it isn't just the hurts, but the fears,
Wow.
the things you're afraid of, offloading those too, and replacing them with faith.
Mm,
Um, and that kind of ties into playfulness, because you, with a lighter heart, it's easier to be playful.
it is. Yes.
So,
Yes. That's amazing. Joel, praise God. Praise God for that. I'm so grateful that you remembered that piece and brought that here, as it is it's important. It's important to let go. And when playfulness takes hold, um, it's just there's a positive trend there, right?
mhm. Yeah,
An
definitely.
ability to leave more rocks behind and drop them as you go.
Mhm,
So, oh,
mhm.
that's just
Yeah.
so incredible. I'm so grateful for all the Lord has done in your heart, Joel. This is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I can't thank you enough for sharing your story with us
Mhm,
today, for putting a voice to this. And we really, really do appreciate your time and your courage and your honesty. Before we finish, Joel, what advice would you give a husband who is in a similar situation to where you were prior to the program?
Well, I would say definitely, listen to the podcast, and there's a lot you can glean from those, a whole lot, really. I've gone
Mhm.
back and I've been listening to a lot of them since then.
Yes.
And wow, it's so neat how much good information,
Mm,
Bella and the team there put
mm.
into those. So you can learn an awful lot, just like the listening and looking and listening. I
Yes.
picked that up even before starting the course, and it was
Right.
huge. But then also, having the courage to take the step of taking the clarity call and considering the course and praying about it and seeing if it's
Mhm.
something that would be something you want to do, and asking the Lord about that, and seeing how your thoughts develop, because for me it was really definitely the right step,
Yes.
and it well worth it, well worth it,
Yes.
and just so grateful that I did it. So I would say
Mm,
consider those things. But even if you're not ready to do that right away, listen to the podcast and then think about the clarity call, if it's something that you think you want to do, and just take it a step at a time, and, in
yes.
prayer.
Yeah. Beautiful. Beautiful. Is there anything else you would like to add, Joel?
I told Bella on my last coaching call, that I really appreciate how she gets down in the mud with us.
Wow. Yes.
She could have just written a book and just put it out there. And I'm not saying that she should never do that. Someday she might, and that might benefit a lot of people. But, there's something about the course and the accountability of it and the explaining of it and the way that Bella can break down the communication barriers between men and women is really amazing. Just what God has given her in terms of the ability to do that.
Yes.
And getting down in the mud with us guys, just kind of get down to the nitty gritty is what I mean by
Yes.
that.
Yes.
And talking personally, having a chance to actually hear what she says about speaking into each one of our situations
Wow.
is really special and unique and not something you find out there really.
Right.
And but I was able to do it from home. I guess just there's a lot of value in that. It's really cool, and I'm very thankful to all of you at the team there and to Bella for being willing to structure things the way you have and do that.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's incredible. So sweet, Joel. You've got it spot on for sure. There's a grace here that God has put on Bella to be able to share what she shares in the way that she shares it. It's very unique, and it's people like you, Joel, who come in and really take this seriously and really recognize this as an opportunity to grow in your relationship with the Lord. That makes it even more special than it
And
is.
it's really just the beginning.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
going through the course materials again. I mean, you get the course materials for life,
yes,
which is great.
exactly.
And
Yes,
I'm going through it again, and I'm taking more notes, and I'm trying to learn and apply even more. It's there's so much there. So
yes, yes. And that comes right back to the consistency piece that we talked about, Joel. The more you are consistent in this work, then the more and more your wife can trust the Lord in these changes and lean into them and lean into
Mhm.
you and grow in her own way toward the Lord. It's
Right.
beautiful.
Yep.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I love that this is a continuation, right? This is,
Mhm.
part one of your graduating from the program,
Mhm.
but there is, you're
Mhm.
right, sir. There's so much more, and what a blessing that is.
As most of us in the Brotherhood of Thunder said, we're never going back.
There it
So
is, right there.
we've all said that.
I love
So
it. I love it. Thank you so much, Joel, really and truly. This has been an honor to get to speak to you.
thank you, Dana.
You're very welcome.